you're crazy. Now, I don't mean to get off topic. Michael Heck's going to join us, by the way, in about 25 minutes from Greater New Orleans Inc. But a great Fantasy Friday topic that I used to throw out there was the Florida Avenue Expressway. And the Florida Avenue Expressway, the best way I can describe it, you know where the Lowe's is on Elysian Fields in between the I-10 and the 610? That Lowe's is actually, the overpass makes it a little confusing. But if you sort of ignore the overpass, that Lowe's sits on the corner of Elysian Fields and Florida Boulevard, Florida Avenue and Elysian Fields. Now, if you think about it, going due east down Florida Avenue, you essentially run into what is known as the 40 Arpit Canal in Chalmette, St. Bernard, which goes due east and essentially runs into the I-510 into Paris Road. But way south of I-10 in St. Bernard Parish proper. So essentially, for decades like the 60s, very similar to the Earhart Expressway, a center of the city expressway that in the Earhart's case happens to go due west out of the city. The Florida Avenue Expressway would go due east out of the city, starting right by that Lowe's on Elysian Fields in between the I-10 and the 610. And this was supposed to be an in and out of St. Bernard Parish. Now, not only have they sold out St. Bernard Parish residents for 50 going on 60 years, not building an inch of this Florida Avenue Expressway, it has stifled growth in St. Bernard Parish, and it has made it hard during hurricane evacuation to get in and out of the parish. There should be an elevated interstate in and out of St. Bernard Parish. You know, St. Bernard Highway, Judge Perez goes down, Paris Road. That's your rear end, St. Bernard. You're stuck down into Parish in St. Bernard, and it is so hard when that happens. Now, this port complex should be coming online in a few years. If I were a St. Bernard Parish resident, I would be embracing it. I would be shouting for joy. I'd be like, this is the opposite of Kaiser leaving the parish 30, 40 years ago. This is a big project that's going to employ hundreds, going to employ thousands during construction. There's going to be a lot of businesses surrounding it that you might own living down in the parish. A lot of opportunity with this container terminal, the Louisiana International Terminal. St. Bernard Parish folks should be embracing it. But you hold some of the cards. It's in your parish. You should demand that this road, and it's not a Florida Avenue Expressway, but it would be a start of one. It would be from the port facility in Violet to the I-510, elevated. And that would mean a great hurricane evacuation route for St. Bernard Parish residents, elevated from Violet all the way to the I-510. Now, what needs to happen is where that port road connects to I-510, the Florida Avenue Expressway needs to go due west from there all the way to that Lowe's on Elysian Fields, Florida Avenue at Elysian Fields. But the great news, St. Bernard Parish residents, the port is into this road. The port understands the need for it. St. Bernard Parish folks should demand it. Joe, I would guess it's going to be very similar to the airport. The International Container Terminal will be built, and the access road to it will come 5-6 years later. That would be my guess. But St. Bernard folks, I would demand that. And I would really try to parlay it into at least some kind of promise that a Florida Avenue Expressway is built eventually. I've heard stories of, I don't know what neighborhoods it is, Old Buccaneer Village, Carolyn Park, I'm not sure, that have grown north towards the 40 Arpit Canal. Some neighborhoods up or against it. Build the interstate north of that. Put up some type of huge sound wall. I don't know what to tell you. It would be like an Earhart Expressway. If you've ever been in Atlanta, they have a highway called the 400. The first few miles of it go right through the middle of Buckhead. You can look up on the hill and see the multi-million-dollar mansions on either side of the 400, looking down on it, up on the hill, up on the bluff, which means they plowed down some multi-million-dollar mansions to put that interstate right through there. That's how it's got to be sometimes. You just got to work around it. Build it north of the 40 Arpit where there are houses and neighborhoods. I don't know what to tell you, but if I'm a St. Bernard Parish resident, I demand that overdue Florida Avenue Expressway. And most definitely for the port to build a terminal there, which I'm 110% behind, you get the access road to the I-510 at least. Fantasy Friday edition of the program. Blue plate mayonnaise, no fantasy. Bacon, lettuce, tomato, a lot of blue plate mayonnaise. That's a no-brainer. Have you checked out the new look? Same legendary taste, but new look, new label. Blue plate mayonnaise since 1927. 95 years, a New Orleans family tradition. If you're a New Orleanian or an official New Orleanian, if not a native, it's got to be Blue Plate New Orleans mayonnaise. Fantasy Friday edition of the program. Happy Hanukkah, day 1 of 8. Hanukkah, latkes, and matzo ball soup. You can thank me, my folks, the Lebanese and Syrian folks. You Jewish folks cooking all that good food. That's the good stuff you cook. My food, Syrian and Lebanese. Happy Hanukkah. Corey Johnson with you.
New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Veterans Boulevard, where the brothers Fausto and Roland are serving some of the city's finest Sicilian and Italian cuisine. From New Orleans' first family of Sicilian and Italian cooking, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations, New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
Did you know Rouse's sells only Angus beef? Angus beef's natural marbling means more succulence and flavor. Whether you choose Rouse's USDA Prime, Choice, or Select, it'll be only Angus beef when you get it at Rouse's. Tastes like home.
When a young man comes in and they walk into our store and you can see they're a little intimidated. Last week, I saw the young man. I said, "Hey, what can I do to give you a hand?" He said, "Well, I'm here for an engagement ring, but I don't think I'm in the right place." So I got him to my desk, and within an hour, he had purchased an engagement ring, had spent $1,000, and he was treated like he spent a lot more, and I'm sure we have a customer for life. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
River Cities Total Maintenance keeps you cool, New Orleans. NOLAAC.com is your cool spot.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes, a magazine as unique as you.
Ooh la Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh la Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
The French bread of the city of New Orleans. Good to the last crumb. Leidenheimer French bread.
Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and some of the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
The Giganticus news from uptown. And look, all I can do is a little bit of research, talk to a few people that seem to be in the know, and tell you what I have found out and what I knew before and what I now know and things of that nature. No, the big news of the day locally, Tulane has found their new head football coach. It's official. John Sumrall, the former Troy head football coach, 41 years old, former Wave assistant, if you might remember, about a decade ago, the co-defensive coordinator. He's 23-4 the last 2 years at Troy. If that 23-4 number sounds familiar, because it's the exact same record that Willie Fritz has in the last 2 years at Tulane. But unlike Fritz, close but coming up just short last week for back-to-back conference championships, John Sumrall did do it. 2-time Sun Belt champs in his 2 years as the head coach at Troy. The Tulane deal reportedly is a 6-year deal. Now, I'm totally guessing. I'm pulling this strictly out of my rear end. As educated guess as I can. I'm going to guess around a 6-year, $15 million deal, about $2.5 million a season. Maybe I'm wrong. Willie Fritz was making $2.9 million his last year at Tulane. So maybe maybe it's around there. Maybe it's around $18 million or $3 million a season over the 6 years. But I think John Sumrall at Troy, Joe, Google this. John Sumrall, Troy salary. I want to say it's like $850,000, like $1 million. I don't think it's that large because it's at Troy. How much? No. It's more than that. It's got to be more than that. Definitely more than that. Jon Sumrall, Troy head coach salary. It should just pop up right away. It's not like no articles or anything. They're in just some. First contract, $375. $375 the first contract. Yeah. Over how many years? That was his buyout. His buyout was $2.7 million. You're telling me Tulane paid $2.7 million? No way. Where's that article, Joe? What date is that from?
College Football Network. When I'm searching, that's from September 21st of this year.
That his buyout at Troy is $2.7 million. And his salary is how much? I mean, it's got to be about
825.
There you go. What did I say? 875. Exactly. 825. That sounds right. Okay. So Tulane came up with 2.7 million to buy out his contract. Wow. That's interesting. Good for Troy. Good for Troy to have a little, of that in it. One thing I was worried about on this when Sumrall's name surfaced the last 48 hours, I was at Tulane. Look, this is a different Tulane, a different administration. What was it? Sandy Barber, I think, and a lot of other people involved. I was at Tulane the morning. It was Terry Bowden had left for Clemson and was bad-mouthing New Orleans on my show. Very classless. Really classless. And I was down at Tulane. I want to say it was like on a Thursday or Friday morning. It was one morning. They had like a 10:30 press conference scheduled, just like they have scheduled for Monday at 11 a.m. And they had some trailers out there by the Wilson Center. And so this is probably like 2000. I mean, maybe they were building the Wilson Center or tennis courts or something. But there were definitely like 3 or 4 trailers, construction trailers or trailers for Tulane to be using as temporary stuff for athletics. And Rich Rodriguez was by himself fuming between these 2 trailers. I went up and spoke with him. He was pulling his tie loose and telling me he did not get the job. He was there to be announced as the Tulane head football coach. And I believe the night before, there was just a lot of rumblings about, kind of typical Tulane problem. Like instead of, and this is 20 plus years ago. So it's not today's Tulane. But this made me nervous that this could happen again because it's happened before. Literally, the night before, Sandy Barber and other Tulane boosters were like, this Rich Rodriguez guy is going to come here. He's going to continue what Bowden did, and he's going to leave in 2 years just like Bowden, and we'll be right where we are all over again. And some genius not in the room, can't help that when I think of that stupid Borat movie. No, some genius in the room, said, let's find a coach that can win and he'll stay long term. It's just, you're Tulane. You get the best coach you can that can win. That's all you worry about. You almost kept Willie Fritz. You almost had Willie Fritz for a while, and that would have been great. It's great if that happens. But you can't count on that. I remember when the Saints, the first 20 years of the Saints, in the 70s, into the 80s, they'd cut a player. They were like driving a truck the next week. They were bartending. No team picked them up. No team hired away Saints coaches. Then when the Mora era started, players would get cut and other teams would pick them up. Coaches would get hired away. I'm like, that's a good thing. That means you're winning. You want colleges coming after John Sumrall in the next year or two. You want that problem. The best problem you could have. The best problem Tulane could have is a year from now, major Power 5 teams are banging down Tulane's door trying to get to John Sumrall, hire him away. The best thing you could have is 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now. Every year you got to deal with this crap that other teams are trying to hire your winning coach away. They're not coming for the losers. So somebody in the room that was a genius said, I'm not worrying about if they leave in 6 months, a year, or 2 years, as long as they're winning. We'll go try to get another winner. We'll try to get into a Power 5. We'll try to make this not a stepping stone, but more of a destination. John Sumrall's 41 years old. I would imagine if he does at Tulane what he's done at Troy, in 2 years, he'll get bombarded by coaching opportunities. Reportedly, he was a finalist for the Duke gig. They went with the Penn State defensive coordinator, I believe. reportedly John Sumrall was getting overtures, at least like agent communication from Texas A&M, Mississippi State, reaching out to his agent. Former Troy head coach John Sumrall just seems like a young go-getter, organized, has his you-know-what together, aggressive, feisty, a winner, cutting edge, understands the whole deal. You know, when Willie Fritz left to go to Houston, you start seeing like the Tulane strength and conditioning coach and all these other assistants emerging, popping up, and you're like, wow. Tulane won because Willie Fritz had the complete thing going, had all the bases covered. This wasn't some half you-know-what trying to get by, fortunate we're winning. Major college program, very well run, CEO type of stuff. I hate to bring up the boys 80 miles upriver, but the 2 years after their national championship, there was no CEO. It was just winging it. A lot of things weren't covered. Willie Fritz had Tulane covered. It was a well-run machine. And John Sumrall seems to be a really good coach and knows how to run a well-run machine, has everything covered. Doing it at Troy, and it just seemed like a perfect hire. Going to the mid-level head coach that is a winner, like a Willie Fritz hire. It's like, this is the Willie Fritz blueprint of hiring that's Tulane's using, what Troy Dannon used before, similar. So I love the hire from all I know and all I've learned in the last few days. Love the hire. Was on my short list of, for whatever that's worth, of just looking Troy, Toledo, and North Dakota State. If someone was like, hey, going to go after like a Georgia or Alabama coordinator or, big time assistant about to be coordinator type. I hear you. But a head coach that has that organization skill, knows how to do it, is a winner, experienced, done it, that's even better. This is like a Willie Fritz sort of hire. And he's 41 and he's aggressive. And Tulane fans, this is crazy. You hope he gets hired away in 2 years. You hope it's another 2 years like the last two. Major Bowl, winning the Major Bowl, playing for conference championship each season. You hope it's a repeat of the last 2 years and this guy gets hired away in 2 years. All that means is winning. Really looks like a good hire for Tulane. It could be seamless in Uptown. Got to keep those, transfer portal guys staying home, get some transfer portal guys, secure the recruiting class. Love the hire. Just in time. Katie's just in time. It's Friday afternoon, the quintessential New Orleans neighborhood restaurant. Why aren't you at Katie's right now? They're waiting for you. Katie's in Mid-City. Great food, flat screen TVs. They're looking for you. Katie's in Mid-City.
Look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
1970 was an exciting time in New Orleans. The first Jazz Fest was held, the city hosted its first Super Bowl, and the first Helm Paint location opened on Earhart Boulevard. While the floppy disks, mood rings, and pet rocks may have come and gone since the 70s, Helm Paint has grown to become your premier source for quality Benjamin Moore products, competitive pricing, and personal service. Please visit one of our locations today and we'll meet our competitors' prices on any identical product. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore, let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
When USA Today ranked the 10 best must-visit New Orleans restaurants for travelers, Mid-City's own Katie's made the list. USA Today says Scott Craig is chef-owner at Katie's, a much-loved Creole Italian eatery that draws armies of regulars for lunch, brunch, and dinner. A neighborhood spot where locals congregate and New Orleans-style hospitality rules. Indeed it does. Katie's in Mid-City.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Lamarck Automotive Complex is something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We're doing all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience. Right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations, New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
Outdoor dining, Middle Eastern cuisine, under the oak trees, Lebanon's Cafe, some of the city's finest lamb chops and shish kebab, Carrollton at Jeanette by the streetcar barn, Lebanon's Cafe. For Leidenheimer Baking Company, producing the perfect French bread is more than a vocation. It's a sacred mission. And for 5 generations, they've used the same time-honored process, baking their signature loaf with its crisp crust and delicate center, unique and still good to the last crumb. From the finest French Quarter restaurants to your local po' boy shop, for over 125 years, New Orleans' own Leidenheimer.
For us, it's really relationships. And if you care about the relationship, you're going to do the right thing for the customer all the time. When we're in design process of a custom made piece, I have a test that says, if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we should pass and start over. If it's not perfect, it's going back to the shop. We're going to start all the way over. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Yeah, you right, Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson back at you. A Fantasy Friday edition of the program. Lebanon's Cafes open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 9:30 every day and straight through the day. You can go right now and dine at Lebanon's. And with this weather, outdoor dining under the big green awning, under the oak trees on the streetcar line, lamb chop, shish kebab, all your favorite Middle Eastern sides, Lebanon's Cafe. Michael Heck from Greater New Orleans, Inc. joins us. Michael, earlier I was saying happy Hanukkah, day 1 of Hanukkah, latkes and matzah ball soup and all that. You Jewish folks can thank my people, the Syrian and Lebanese, for giving you your menu of food you're enjoying tonight.
Well, no, that's right. I mean, when you talk about Middle Eastern food, what are you really talking about? I mean, it's a region, it's a district. I mean, let's be honest. The best version of it is Lebanese. I mean, it just is. I mean, that's an objective assessment, not me currying favor.
Michael, have I ever said I love you?
No, I mean, how do you say that? How do you say? What do you say, Habibi, or how do you say that?
I don't know. I know Situ is grandmother because I used to call my Situ that. I know the curse words, and I know one word that sounds like a curse word that means rain. Shette, because my grandmother would say, my Situ would say shette when it was raining outside, and I thought she was cursing, but she was saying rain in Arabic. Anyway, that's about all I know, Michael. Curse words, vulgar statements, things of that nature. And, Kibbe, Baba Ganoush, Mujedra, hummus.
Yeah, and here's something I just want to say for everybody who's listening who might not understand this, that tabbouleh, really good tabbouleh, it's a parsley salad. It might have a little bit of barley in it. It might have it's basically got to be parsley with a lot of olive oil and a lot of lemon and a lot of garlic. That's what it's meant to be. Don't be fooled by all these grain salads or these Israeli couscous. That's the cheap way of doing it. That's the easy way of doing it. This is a labor of love salad that has to be hand chopped.
Yep.
And it's delicious.
Yep.
But
Parsley.
it's gotta be fresh and lemony and oily. Right. You can't this isn't a can of tuna fish that you just whip up with a can and some mayonnaise. It's a prepped situation.
No, it's labor intensive. The parsley, you could maybe put in some fresh mint, definitely the Bulgar wheat, and then olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, lemon, like you said, some salt, maybe a little pepper. Some folks add tomato and cucumber. I kind of think that's going off the grid a little bit, but you're right. It is. It's simple. It's basic. It's good. That fried kibbe, the football kibbe. I mean, that just thing's tough to beat. And shish kebab and lamb chops. It's pretty good stuff. But anyway, it's Hanukkah. Large Jewish community, always has been. You know what kind of bums me out, Michael? Just the Catholic community. When I was a kid, twice as many churches, twice as many services. They were all packed, standing room only. Look, I'm not making any judgment, whatever. It's society. People don't go to church as much. When I was a kid, you had Temple Sinai, you had down by Fat Harry's, that Jewish synagogue. You had the one on Canal Boulevard. You had in Metairie. Now there are a few that don't exist anymore. It's kind of a bummer. It's like the Catholic Church. I guess the Catholics and the Jewish folks are still here. Just some of their places of worship aren't. And that kind of bums me out a little. I liked when all the temples were all over the area.
Yeah, no, it's true in general that, newer generations, younger generations are less formally religious. Yeah. I think I'm not a particularly formally religious person. I guess I'm culturally, religious. My family in Louisiana is Jewish and Catholic. But, it is, I think that there is an incredibly important role that religion plays in terms of structure and morality and sense of community. And, you don't have to believe in that big, the guy in the sky with a beard kind of thing, but there is something to be said for the rhythm and ritual of formal religion. And it's probably not a great thing that fewer people are attending. And so these congregations are closing. I don't want to lay it all at the feet of that, but I would think that a little more formal structure and spirituality would probably, do not just New Orleans, but Western society, would do Western society well.
Michael Hex with us from Greater New Orleans Inc. Hey, Michael, I hope this moves forward. It's been talked about a lot. Lincoln Beach, $25 million secured. Lincoln Beach, Pontchartrain Beach, West End Park. Other cities cut off their left arm to have these kind of things. They make them man-made waterways and lakes and rivers. I mean, when I saw the San Antonio River, I was like, I could pole vault across this thing. Are they serious?
It's the San Antonio culvert.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a little canal that's brick line. I mean, I'm glad they maximize that. That's what's great. They maximize these things out of nothing, and we run from the ones that are right in our backyard. It's mind-blowing. But hopefully Lincoln Beach gets reopened. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I think Lincoln Beach is important. Pontchartrain Beach is important. There should be development along the water, along the lake because it's an amenity.
Yep.
Along the river because it's high and safe. And we're unusual in our lack of development. In fact, I was in London last week meeting with a bunch of insurance underwriters like Lloyd's and, trying to figure out how to lower insurance here, property insurance. And one of the criticisms that we got from Lloyd's was that they said, hey, all you people live on the water in New Orleans. How many people live on the water in New Orleans? And I turned around and I looked at them and I said, probably like under 5,000.
Yes,
I mean, they're very, I said, that's a massive misconception, unfortunately, but we got a couple of buildings on the Mississippi, a couple of condos on the lake. That's about it.
No, that's it. No, we got about 1,000 folks, 3,000 folks that live on the water of 1.3 million. You remember Kenner? Kennebra. They did that study with some Atlanta-based company you're probably familiar with, Michael. They're like, what do we do with our riverfront? What do we do with our lakefront? And it was smart. I give Kenner credit. You need out-of-the-box thinking. And what's funny is just sort of it was kind of like, hey, what do we do with this glass of water? And, their reply was, drink it. They were like, why aren't you developing housing and apartments and condos and retail on the river, on the Batcher, in Rivertown, on the water? It is, I drive up and down River Road and you have these like companies on the other side of the Batcher. That's great. Why aren't there condo towers on the other side of the Batcher with the people's boats underneath? The river flowing underneath, big concrete pilings, hurricane-proof, river-proof, just, big brick, what houses of people living on the water. It blows me away. This Atlanta company, their number one recommendation to Kenner, put people living on the water, on the river.
Yeah. No, I hope we paid them good money for that.
Yep. So Lincoln Beach gets a green light, Michael. I hope we see progress there because, boy, New Orleans East is a tough one. The Lowe's, nothing going on there. I think it's going to be like a Goodwill store. That was very disappointing. Six Flags, still no shovels in the ground, but that looks like it's a go. The Mackey Studios across from the Lowe's, not a shovel in the ground. Lincoln Beach has been talked about before. This needs to be a go. And the mayor, I guess her rep's on the line, which sort of means something. I mean, like she's behind it at least.
Yeah, I mean, it just New Orleans East needs little ones and twos, little wins, little singles and doubles to help bring them along. That's the key thing. And Lincoln Beach could be one. It could very much be catalytic. And New Orleans East deserves it. There's no good reason not to have it happen. So hopefully, the political stars will keep being aligned and we'll get that open. But the $25 million is a nice start.
No, it is a nice start. Pontchartrain Beach thing seems to be stalled. It's a shame. It seemed like such a great plan too.
We're gonna run some legislation this session to try to get that going again as well. I mean, it was the usual thing. It was, a half a dozen neighbors who showed up who were worried about traffic in their neighborhood or something. You know how it goes, and don't care about the greater good. And so we're gonna figure a way to get that done. It's so important for New Orleans, for UNO, and so I think we're going to find a path to get that finished as well.
Michael, can we light a big bonfire? Maybe get some Hershey's chocolate, some s'mores, things going, and Orleans and Jefferson Parish folks can hold hands and sing Kumbaya around that fire and get West End Park going again?
Yeah, I mean, it's another one. West End Park is a nice amenity. It's a great location. It was making progress, and then things kind of fell apart between the parishes. We need two leaders who agree to hold hands and eat s'mores. It shouldn't be this hard. It's unclear to me why it is, but all these things are always a question of political will. And so when constituents just have to demand it, if constituents demand it, the will be there.
Yep.
It's just the way it works.
No doubt. Hey, Michael, back on Saturday, the Turbine 4 going out again. The only thing I can say is for New Orleans residents, if you want to have an opinion and gripe or complain, at least know what you're talking about. You can't talk about turbines weren't pumping water when they generate electricity and aren't pumps. I think people really aren't educated on what's going on. The system obviously is broken. It's old. It's antiquated. But I do think this substation is going to solve some major problems.
That's right. Yeah, I had an interesting conversation with the guy who runs the Water Institute up in Baton Rouge, and we're going to go and have a demonstration. But he said they ran a model that shows that if the current system, the old one, in New Orleans, were just running at 100% capacity, that New Orleans could handle a storm like Hurricane Harvey. We just need to fix it up. And so I want to go and see this analysis because that's very compelling. It makes sense.
Hey, Michael, I'm going to knock out a quick break. I'm going to come right back. Want to talk to you about that. And Monday at 1 o'clock, that Mirabeau Water Garden. Corey Johnson with you on a Friday afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us.
I would say
Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miet, insagency.com. Dave Miet Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miet, insagency.com.
From the owners of Katie's in Mid-City and Bienvenue in Harahan, an old school deli with over a dozen specialty sandwiches. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria.
Ooh la Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh la Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
For over 120 years, New Orleans' very own Leidenheimer French bread.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
It's time to relax. The Woodhouse Day Spa, Metro New Orleans' premier day spa experience, now with 5 area locations. For a day of relaxation or maybe just a quick 1-hour getaway, the Metro area's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa, and now 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and our newest location in Mandeville. The Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
Being a part of people's lives, from an engagement ring to a wedding band. Before you know it, the wedding day is here and groom and bride are exchanging gifts on that day. And not too long after that, there's baby gifts to have. And I just enjoy being part of other people's family, saying, Mr. Friend did my engagement ring and he did my mom and dad's engagement ring. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Rouse's Market is hiring. With 65 stores, full or part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at rouses.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
What actually lasts a lifetime? Not much, but at Helm Paint, we have something guaranteed to last a lifetime. Benjamin Moore's Regal Select. This paint and primer in one offers cutting-edge waterborne technology, smooth application, and long durability. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore, your New Orleans paint store.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets has daily lunch specials Monday through Friday, and their entire lunch menu is available too. Open 11 a.m. through 2:30 p.m. For the finest in Sicilian and Italian cuisine, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Fantasy Friday edition of the program. Michael Hex with us from Greater New Orleans, Inc. Every week, this segment's always brought to you by Latrim, the global manufacturing giant. Latrim in Elmwood, over 1,400 employees, and they continue to grow. You East Bankers, you West Bankers, right under the UEP Long Bridge. New Year's coming up. Time for a new job, a new career. Latrim's got you covered. You North Shore folks, Latrim has an I-12 facility that's hiring dozens and dozens and dozens of openings at latrim.com. For a full listing of positions available, go to latrim.com. Michael Hex with us, Greater New Orleans Inc. Michael, the Sewage and Water Board, the turbine going out, I mean, it just gets old. The real deal is there some pumps, I guess not in New Orleans East, not on the West Bank, but some old pumps in the city. They run on 25 hertz power. These turbines come up with the 25 hertz to run those. This new substation is going to have converters, converting the 60 hertz of regular power to 25 to run those. As those pumps break, and they're breaking all the time, they're replaced by 60 hertz pumps. So slowly but surely, we're fixing the sewage and water board antiquated system, and I'd say as efficiently and as effectively and as quickly as we can right now. The substation's the key.
Yeah, I mean, it's a legacy system problem, and decades of deferred maintenance. But ultimately, we're going to need some type of drainage fee, Corey, where all those people in the city, all those buildings that currently don't pay for drainage, pay for it to some degree. Right now, anything that is a nonprofit like a church or a school or a hospital, it doesn't support any drainage, despite the fact that obviously it uses it.
Yep.
So we need to figure a way to fund this in a way that's fair and more robust. But that's difficult to make happen politically when people are getting wet or getting flooded. But ultimately, there is a funding issue that needs to be addressed as well.
I guess 18 years later is better than never. Monday at 1:00, Mirabeau Water Garden press conference, Mirabeau at St. Bernard Avenue. I think it's 25 acres. Also, Elysian Fields, pretty much from the river to the lake, that neutral ground could become some huge linear retention pond. We have very few examples of retention ponds. There's one by the Bartholomew Golf Course. I think it's on Congress Street in the Pontchartrain Park neighborhood off of Press Drive by Suno. It works great, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, these are natural ways of managing water, and they've been used all over the world, and they got to be part of our answer. There's Pontilli Playground in Jefferson where they do it.
Yep.
But things like golf courses and parks are obvious places to have these natural structures to hold the water so that you can pump it out slowly instead of having it just fill up, a concrete bathtub. And the reality is that we need both. We need a modern pumping system, and we need more retention, because it is never going to make financial sense to fully build out, a system that could handle the biggest storms. For those biggest storms, you need literal overflow capacity in things like Mirabeau. So, yeah, it's remarkable that it's taken this long, but slowly these assets are coming online.
Hey, Michael, one thing we really have in New Orleans, there are a lot of things that are world-class, first-class, but Audubon Park is as nice a park as any in America. City Park is as nice a park as any in America. Lafayette, for a suburb park, is pretty damn nice. City Park's doing a master plan. I'm kind of impressed by that. Post Katrina, they sort of redid City Park. So I like that, almost like when you're supposed to do it, they're doing it instead of after the fact or too late. It's like, kind of like the paving of I-10 out in the east. I'm like, wow, they're redoing I-10. It almost doesn't need it. Shh, Corey, don't say that out loud. Yes, it does need it. Let them redo it. So I'm glad to see them with a master plan of City Park. It was almost shocking. I was like, wow, it seemed like they just did that. What a great park City Park is, Michael.
It's fantastic, and Kaare Lambert, the new director, is doing a fantastic job out there. I think it's the fourth biggest urban park in America, and so there's a lot of opportunity to consider how you program it, what you preserve. And I agree with you, Corey. I think it's really exciting that it's being looked at in a comprehensive way to figure out how to maximize that park for now and future generations. But yeah, I think the more time I spend out in City Park, the more impressed I am by it. The size of it, the different amenities, and particular things like the sculpture garden, which you could, are again, literally world class.
Yep.
So, and it's a well-used park too. It's a democratic park, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, it is. Everybody utilizes it. Everybody loves it. There's space for so many different things. No, it's just fantastic. Hey, Michael, any parting shots, any good news, anything that we could look forward to on the horizon? Closing out this year with any announcements?
We got two potential announcements that we'd like to get done by the end of the year. One is a tech announcement. The other one would be a green ammonia facility. that makes clean ammonia from recycled plastic. So hopefully we can get those done on the board, and I can officially announce them before whatever next year is, 2024. My God.
Tulane's got a new football coach. I like this guy, John Sumrall from Troy. Has the same record the last 2 years as Willie Fritz, and one more conference championship. So hopefully the wave keeps rolling. That's a nice economic boost for the city, a little freebie, free marketing, the opposing teams coming in, hotel space, tax dollars, roll wave.
It is a nice one, and it's just been interesting to watch the way that has really benefited Tulane. I mean, there was really some question as they started investing in the stadium and the team about whether, Tulane really wanted to be a, quote, football school, and whether this was going to make it a better school and attract more applicants and funding. And the answer has been a pretty resounding yes. Even some skeptics have said, man, this football thing seems kind of real. So, it's exciting, and it's nice to have at least one winning football team right now, right?
Yep. Michael Heck, thank you. 5 o'clock powwow now.
With Corey Johnson on TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube, on radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
Hi, it's Ken Friend from Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business. Come see us over on Maple Street in Uptown.
Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, Breitling time, 5 p.m.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot.
Rouse's, New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's has the only full-service grocery stores both in the French Quarter on Royal Street and in the CBD on Baronne in the old Sewell Cadillac building. The Rouse's on the river, Tchoupitoulas at Napoleon, is in a century-old warehouse. And uptown on Ferret at the corner of Valence is Rouse's all-new boutique store. With 7 locations in Orleans Parish, Rouse's is New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's Markets. Taste like home.
For us, it's really relationships. And if you care about the relationship, you're going to do the right thing for the customer all the time. When we're in design process of a custom-made piece, I have a test that says, if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we should pass and start over. If it's not perfect, it's going back to the shop. We're going to start all the way over. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
The Neutral Ground with Corey Johnson.
Susan Spicer joining us on the program.
Even when they presented me the award, the people that I look up to the most, Frank was there and Donald Link was there. It does cause you to reflect back and think about your whole career.
Maybe the Ella Brennan Award says that to you, like I've arrived.
It certainly is kind of the ultimate honor when it comes to cooking and hospitality in New Orleans and the world.
New Orleans style talk gumbo, served daily.
Doesn't get much better than that, huh?
Hi, this is Joey Helm. My dad, Bunky Helm, had a vision. a vision of a locally family-owned store serving the residential and commercial paint needs of New Orleans. I think Dad would be proud of today's Helm Paint and Decorating, and here's why. We have the best technical staff in the business, providing the best color matching service in Southeast Louisiana. Perfect matching for any color and any brand. And we'll save your colors so you don't have to save those old cans. Helm Paint offers free 2-hour delivery. Our in-store decorators will assist you on deciding what color and type of paint to best showcase your home. But most importantly, as your local independent Benjamin Moore dealer, our products provide the greatest value in the paint industry. Superior coverage, and Benjamin Moore paint simply covers better and lasts longer. New Orleans is a city of vibrant color, and no one else provides the paints of New Orleans like Helm Paint and Decorating. Visit any of our 6 locations or online at helmpaint.com.
Helm Paint, let us do you right. Helm Paint and Supply.
Ford F-150, #1 seller in America. What about in the USA? Let's see, what about in the world? Who sells more trucks than Ford? Nobody. It's because the Lamar team is the real team. All that makes it happen is one goal. Everybody having a great experience at Lamar Ford. We became #1 for a reason, because we're good. And we need to prove it every day, every deal, all the time.
Ooh la Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh la Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
5 generations, family owned and operated. Leidenheimer French bread.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
You heard that? That was the 5 o'clock whistle blowing on a Friday. I love the 5 o'clock whistle. You know why we blow the 5 o'clock whistle? To put the spotlight on this very moment of the week, Friday, a little after 5 p.m. For most of us, that means the work week's in the books, and the whole weekend, smack dab in front of us. Drew Brees is right. It is, in fact, New Orleans. 5 o'clock whistle blowing on a Fantasy Friday. By the way, the 5 o'clock whistle appropriately brought to you by Katie's in Mid-City, the perfect wind down spot. You should see that place. Some folks go to work 5, 6, 7 in the morning. They will roll into Katie's when they get off work 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon, full of a bunch of New Orleans characters. Eavesdrop into some of that conversation. You could write a Hollywood script. Hysterical stuff.
I can attest Katie's is the best place to sit at a bar, listen to other people talk.
That's in your neighborhood, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
It is Joe Cardosi's quintessential New Orleans neighborhood joint. That's first class, Joe, what you're doing there. Joe's got a doorstop that's just world class. Anyway, Katie's in Mid-City. Better than a sports bar because it's got really good New Orleans food, large portions, great for sharing. But like a sports bar, there are flat screen TVs everywhere for all your sports action. Pelicans, Saints, LSU, Tulane, college football, the bowl games coming up. Pelicans, NBA, Saints, NFL. They got it all. Premier League soccer, whatever you want to watch. If it's on TV, it's on the flat screens at Katie's in Mid-City. Like a sports bar, but with really good food that you want to eat. Katie's in Mid-City. Fantasy Friday edition of the program. Yeah, you right. Happy Hanukkah, day 1 of Hanukkah. I was joking with Michael Hecht, as he alluded, he is half Jewish, half Catholic. I was joking, saying happy Hanukkah, but also thank my people. I'm half Syrian Lebanese. My mom's 100%. I mean, you never know. She's some little yaddy New Orleans woman. But, my grandmother, I called her Situ, Arabic for grandmother, made the best grape leaves and tabbouleh and baba ganoush and hummus and mujedra and lamb shish kebab and lamb chops and all kind of great stuff. Baklava that couldn't be beat, all homemade, grandmother doing it. Since my mom's 100% Lebanese Syrian, so is my grandmother, obviously. No, I was busting on Michael Hecht and my Jewish pals. I did it yesterday. I said, boy, as a kid in grammar school, all these Jewish kids, my Jewish friends, I'm talking like first, second, third, fourth grade. Every day they're bringing a new gift in. Like, well, what's going on? I'm just some little Catholic kid in grammar school, and I got Christmas Day. It's a holiday. There's no school around it. And I'm going to get maybe 2 or 3 gifts. These Jewish kids are getting 8 gifts, 8 days in a row, and every day they're bringing the gift into school the next day, and I got to see it. A message to the Jewish religion. Have some empathy for other religions, for little children. Come holiday season, 8 days of Hanukkah, that cripples a little Catholic kid who's like 7, 8 years old. Why does that guy get 8 presents, but I only get 3? Shut up. Jeez, I remember in grammar school, these Jewish kids bringing in the little car, whatever they got the night before for Hanukkah. I was like, explain this Hanukkah thing to me. 8 days, 8 candles, the menorah, all this. I learned about it, but I was like, wow. And I'm joking, but I was like, boy, 8 days of presents as a kid. You're like, that is great. Christmas one day. What a ripoff. But the serious part is, you Jewish folks, you can thank me for your food you're eating. You can thank my people, the Syrian Lebanese people, or you're eating like, matzo ball soup. Matzo ball soup's like turkey. There's a reason it's not served in restaurants. No one wants to eat it. Oh, dude, my grandmother's matzo ball soup was fantastic. Yeah, I know, because you ate it as a kid and it's your grandmother's, but no one else wants to eat it. And the latke potato cakes, yeah, they're great because you're starving. You're starving for that day. You might have been fasting, and then, somebody pulls these potato cakes off the little griddle. Of course they're good. So are the ones at McDonald's, but, it's a hash brown. Come on. All that good food you're eating, it's because of my Syrian Lebanese people. All you Middle Easterners should thank me. You Jordanians, Saudis, everybody over there. Egyptians, Israelis, everybody over there. Even you Persians, you non-Arabs in Iran, you Iraqis, should be thanking my people, the Lebanese and Syrian, for all the great food over there. All right, we'll move on a Fantasy Friday. Speaking of great food, Leidenheimer French bread. Enjoy some this weekend. You probably are going to do it and not even realize it. At the city's finest restaurants. If it's a real New Orleans po' boy you're eating, a quality po' boy, got to be on Leidenheimer French bread. They've been doing it for 3 centuries, over 125 years, still baking that wonderful Leidenheimer French bread right here in the city of New Orleans. Leidenheimer Baking Company. Great news, Uptown New Orleans. Great news, Metro New Orleans. Great news, Tulane Greenway fans. You got your guy. Honestly, objectively, fairly, I would say the number one choice on the board. And the school you took him from realized you were coming, had time to make a counteroffer, reportedly were pretty darn aggressive on that counteroffer, and Tulane still got their man. Tulane has found their new head football coach. It's official. I don't know how they do much better. His name's John Sumrall. He was the Troy head coach. He's 41 years old. He's a former Wave assistant. A decade ago, he was co-defensive coordinator at Tulane for a few seasons. The last 2 years at Troy, he's got the same exact record as Willie Fritz does at Tulane, 23-4. And just like Willie Fritz, 2 straight championship games. Unlike Willie Fritz, he won both of them. 2-time Sun Belt champ. It's a 6-year deal. I'm guessing, I have no idea, 15, 18 million bucks. I'm guessing 2.5, 3 million a year, something like that. Sumrall was making under $1 million. Reportedly, Joe was doing a little research last hour, and it wasn't porn or off-track betting. For once, exactly. $2.7 million buyout at Troy. Tulane had to come up with $2.7 million, reportedly. Write a check, $2.7 million to Troy to buy out John Sumrall's contract. A 6-year deal. I'm guessing $2.5 to $3 million a season. Tulane may not miss a beat. This guy, and I'm just telling you from the little bit I know that I've learned this week, when I was like, who's the legitimate coaches? I'm thinking Tulane needs to go like the Willie Fritz route again, do the Troy Dannon blueprint, go get a mid-major guy that all he does is win, and a guy that's already a head coach, not an assistant, a guy that's a head coach that has proven he can win as a head coach, that knows how to coach, has great assistant strength coach, knows the whole thing, how to run the whole deal, all-encompassing, a CEO. Knows how to do it all. NIL, recruiting, all of it. No, John Sumrall seems to be the guy, and 41, and knows New Orleans, knows the South. I think it's a brilliant hire. I think Tulane cranked it out the park. Hard to do much better than this hire. I love it. Hopefully Tulane doesn't miss a beat. And the worry that, man, in a year or two, we could just be doing this all over again. We got to get a coach that's going to stay. There's just no way to think like that. You want a winner. You want a guy that's going to kick ass right away. You want a guy that's loyal. Willie Fritz was loyal. But Tulane, if a Power 5 comes after John Sumrall next year, you want that to happen. That's a blessing. That means this guy kick butt, took names. You're 10-2, 11-1, 12-0. If in 2 years they're coming hard, you want it. You want John Sumrall targeted by Power 5 schools after each and every Green Wave season. That's a blessing, and thank God Tulane did not keep them from hiring John Sumrall. Best quality, best price, best selection, and convenience. Rouse's Market, your Rouse's Market. Over 60 years, over 60 Rouses. On the way home right now, you'll probably pass 2 or 3 Rouses. Tastes like home, Rouse's Markets.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
When a young man comes in and they walk into our store, and you can see they're a little intimidated. Last week, I saw the young man. I said, hey, what can I do to give you a hand? And he said, well, I'm here for an engagement ring, but I don't think I'm in the right place. So I got him to my desk, and within an hour, he had purchased an engagement ring, had spent $1,000, and he was treated like he spent a lot more, and I'm sure we have a customer for life. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Rouse's Market is hiring. With 65 stores, full or part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at rouses.com.
Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
Served in New Orleans' finest restaurants, Leidenheimer French bread. There's a Middle Eastern restaurant that's less than 5 minutes from where Causeway and River Road meet, Lebanon's Cafe. Convenient to Old Metairie and Old Jefferson. Carrollton at Jeanette on the streetcar line, Lebanon's Cafe.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot.
Custom window treatments can enhance the look and value of your home. At Helm Paint and Decorating, we're proud to offer custom plantation-style window shutters by Scandia. Perfect for any window, including large frames, French doors, sliding doors, and arches. American-made SL300 shutters are available in many colors to match your personal decor. We'll come out to measure, and you'll receive fast delivery. Plus, they're virtually maintenance-free.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore. Let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Veterans Boulevard, where the brothers Fausto and Roland are serving some of the city's finest Sicilian and Italian cuisine. From New Orleans' first family of Sicilian and Italian cooking, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live, we live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love, more. When you do something, you have to do it right. You know, it's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
Yeah, you right, Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson with you. I got to apologize. You know, I guess it's an apology because there's disappointment, but I don't know, Joe, should I be apologizing because Frank Brightson can't join us because they're slammed and he needs to make sure he's in the kitchen? Like, what am I apologizing for? Like, huh? Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I guess I'm disappointed that Frank isn't joining us. I'm not disappointed in Frank. It's a pleasure to have him. It's like Fletcher Mackel. We were hoping to have him in the 4:00 hour, but he couldn't join us because of so much breaking news. Jaden Daniels Heisman. They're going to be in New York tomorrow. Tulane with their new hire. You know, F-bomb. I mean, you know, F-bomb. You know. We're Channel 6. That's a great tape. We want to hire you. Jeez and Pete's. You know, Joe, I have never seen Fletcher or Travers together, so I honestly don't think there are two Mackles. But the one thing I want to know is why is when Fletcher does news as Travers, it's like damn good, and when he does sports as Fletcher, it like sucks. It's like the opposite. Why is that? So weird.
The fake mustache gives it away too. Just peels right off.
I'm stealing that twin joke about 15. You might have been at the controls, Joe. I don't know. It was near the end of his life. He had died like a few years later. I had on legendary Burt Sugar. He was just a very humble, cool guy and laid back, had a dry sense of humor. I had a few cocktails with him at the Foundation Room after a Roy Jones Jr. Fight at the arena 20 years ago. And Burt Sugar, can you come on my show? No problem. Gave me his number. Probably came on my show 3 or 4 times. Just a cool guy. And Burt Sugar, the real boxing analyst. And I remember one time I asked him about the Klitschko brothers. And he said, I've never seen them together. I don't know if there were actually two of them. I think there's only one, and they have both championships. He loses weight and fights in the lower division. It was just funny, Bert Sugar saying it. Anyway, one of the cool things about superstars, wealthy people, entertainers that are known, when you meet someone like Bert Sugar, who's like as big as it got in boxing back then, makes Max Kellerman look like a child. Bert Sugar was it in boxing a generation or two ago for generations. The hat with almost with the press thing in the, brim of the hat type of look, always in a suit and tie. No, just a humble, good guy, you would never know he's this big shot. And then you meet like a Greg Norman and he's just a total jerk. Or like Tiger Woods' dad, total jerk. Michael Jordan, total jerk, over and over again. I saw Michael Jordan Foundation Room after that fight. Michael Jordan was in there. Just a rude jerk. I asked him, like, coming on my show. No, just walks away. Just rude. Not even an acknowledgement, They're just people like that. Jack Nicklaus. I meet Jack Nicklaus. Hey, Mr. Nicklaus, call me Jack. Hey, Corey Johnson. How are you, Corey? Nice to meet you. I'm doing well, Jack. I was hoping we could get an interview. Yeah, look, Jackie Jr.'s coming up 9 right now. Can you wait till he's done? Yeah. Okay, man. And then Nicholas walks off, and Jackie Jr. comes up 9, and all of a sudden, all the wives and daughters and sons, and it's like 10 Nicholases and wives and family huddled around Jack and Jack Jr., and this little mass of people just starts walking away. And I go, all right, there goes my Jack Nicklaus interview. All of a sudden, the mass of people stops. Nicholas' head's bobbing around, and he goes, Corey, calling out my name, Jack Nicklaus. Not because Nicholas, here's another one, Joe. They're local. There's a guy who does talk radio. He always acts like he'll say something like, I was talking to him, and I said, Mr. President, you probably should invade Ukraine. And he said, well, Jimmy, let me tell you. Like, he never called you by your name. Sorry. But Jack Nicklaus, I'm not trying to say he would have said to you, Joe, or you out there in listening land, Frank Magoo, John Doe. Jack Nicklaus wasn't, I know Corey Johnson. He's a great guy. I'm impressed with what he said and remember his name. He didn't know me from Adam, except he just met me, yet remembered my name, had that skill set, and called me out by name. And I did the interview, and he used my name in the interview a few times. And I was just like, just class. And I remember interviewing Greg Norman. He was such a jerk, I ended the interview in the middle of it. He's just a jerk. And I'm being nice with the word jerk. I'd use the curse word, but I don't want to. No, so just people that, are successful and wealthy and, known and are humble and act like they're a nobody is just so damn refreshing. You got to automatically love those people. Now, locally, Frank Brightson's like a rock star. James Beard award-winning chef. In that circle, he's a rock star. He comes on this show every Friday. He's just humble and laid back and sweet and nice. Gotta love those people. Tulane's got a new head football coach. Fantastic news. I know, if you're expecting Bear Bryant, Nick Saban left Alabama for Tulane to finish up his career. I don't know what you were looking for. I can't think of a coach that Tulane could hire that's some like no-name coach that's a proven winner like Nick Saban or someone that you're going to be excited about. All I can tell you is I didn't know much about John Sumrall. I just know Troy was always good, like Toledo, North Dakota State, these mid-major programs, these smaller programs even, that just have successful winning coaches, like Willie Fritz. What did he do it for 20-something years, 21, 22 years, 23 years before he got to Tulane? Now he's got 8 more years of winning at Tulane. Willie Fritz has been a head football coach for like 30-something years. He's got like 26 winning seasons out of 31, something like that. A couple of 500s and like 3 losing seasons, 4 losing seasons out of like 30 something. So Willie Fritz is good for a losing season about 10% of the time. You need to hire someone like this. Now, John Summerall wasn't as seasoned. Willie Fritz was hired at Tulane when he was like 55 years old. Summerall's a generation younger. He's 41. He'll probably get hired away from Tulane and go to a bigger school in a few years. And Green Wave fans, quite honestly, you don't want that to happen like you want him to leave. You'd like him to say, no, I love Tulane, and just for whatever reason, I'll take less money, lesser facilities, lesser stadium, not Power 5, and stay at Tulane. You hope that happened. It could happen. Willie Fritz, it almost happened. But having Power 5 schools come after your head coach, Tulane, next season, it's a good thing. The season after that, it's a good thing. This thinking 20-something years ago, we better not hire Rich Rodriguez. I mean, morning of the press conference announcement, the dude is at Tulane in a suit. He's informed about 45 minutes before his press conference, we're not going with you. We're going with Chris Selfo. We're not going with you, Rich Rodriguez. Because some Tulane boosters are like, he's just going to get hired away in a year or two. We're going to have this Tommy Bowden thing all over again. This damn 7-4, 12-0 thing all over again after decades and decades of just inconsistency and up and down, a bleep in the radar, but mostly losing. 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 seasons losing. So such an inconvenience. We have to have another coaching search because Bowden, that bastard, he went 7-4 and 12-0. You want that problem? So the folks, and there are probably a few chirping birds, we're going to have to redo this in a year or two. I'm glad those chirping birds got squashed. And the smart people at Tulane were like, who cares if he gets hired away in a year or two? That means he's winning. We want to have this problem again and again and again. And we want to be winning, always keeping, getting the right coach that wins again. Would you like to have John Summerall win 10 games a year, go to major bowls, and never leave? Of course. But right now, Tulane is still a stepping stone program. They're moving in the right direction. They used to be a loser program, not even a stepping stone, just a loser program. Worst team and some of the worst teams ever. Bottom 25 all the time. Now Tulane is a top 25 football program in all of college football. I mean, you got a few hundred programs, 100-something programs playing. And they're one of the top 25 in all of college football, like year in, year out now. And I think John Summerall's the guy to keep it going. He's 23-4 the last 2 years, exact same record as Willie Fritz. He's got 2 championship game appearances, conference championship game appearances, just like Willie Fritz. 2 Sun Belts. John Summerall, former Troy head coach in Alabama, former Wave co-defensive coordinator a decade ago. It's official. He's the Tulane head football coach. I don't know how Tulane could do any better than this hire. From what I know, from what I've learned, from what I've talked to other people, what they've said, this is about as good as Tulane could do. As close to guaranteed success, a continuation of Fritz as possible. Nothing's guaranteed. Otherwise, you wouldn't even play the games. It'd all be done. But I like this hire a lot. Green Wave fans, those in the know, should like this hire. Good work, Tulane. Hey, happy Hanukkah on this Fantasy Friday edition of the program. Corey Johnson with you. Young's Dry Cleaning's been with you since 1940. After Thanksgiving, you maybe had fine linens, tablecloths you had to get taken care of. Young's Dry Cleaning will get those fine linens to like new conditions. Maybe Christmas, same thing. You're throwing a party. Got to get the tablecloths, the linens, the napkins, all that done. Maybe it's rugs or runners in your house before or after the party. Young's Restoration Department, free pickup and delivery on those linens, those rugs, those hallway runners, even drapes. Young's will come to your house, take down your drapes, bring them to their facility, clean them, rehang them. All you pay for is the cleaning, not the pickup and delivery, not the hanging and taking down and rehanging. YoungsDryCleaning.com. Check them out online. YoungsDryCleaning.com. Corey Johnson with you. Happy Hanukkah. Hanukkah day 1 of 8. You Jewish religious leaders, the 8 days of presents. You need to have a little empathy for other religion and young kids. When I was a little kid, I was like, Christmas, Catholic boy. I'm like, one day I might get 3 presents, maybe 4 if I'm lucky. And then some of those tail end presents turn into like a sweater or socks. And who gives a crap about that? That isn't even a present. That's garbage when you're a child. You want the toy train set or something, not a sweater. Worthless. Hanukkah, 8 presents. And then the kids are coming to school the next day. My Jewish friends showing off the present. And then the next day after that, another present. Well, Catholic boys get upset, cross, crying. Mommy, come pick me up behind the school in the station wagon with the wood paneling. I am crying. I am cross. Little Jimmy got a present every day. We get 1 present at Christmas. Oh, boy. Uh-oh, Joe. I said, oh, boy. Do you have a shock thing on my, like, you can shock me? I need a shock collar. I said yesterday I'm not supposed to say that anymore. A buddy of mine says it, and I've been saying it lately. Goes in the Bummerooski category.
Searching for the back.
What was that, Joe? What are you doing there? You playing around, Joe? You getting dangerous out there?
That said it was a shock sound effect, and they lied to me.
That doesn't sound like one. I went, ah! Joe, a very telling story. You want a psychological story about me before we break? Might have something in it. I'm half joking, half serious. I think this says a lot about me as a human being. All right. There was pressure involved. It was like 2nd grade. And I don't know what it was. There was present day or something. It's around holiday season. And there were like 10 presents, up there. Everyone could see what they were. And then they pick a name out of like the hat, So everybody's picking the present. The name comes up, and it's down to the final few presents. And there's that little silver hand buzzer thing that you slide on your finger, the metal thing with the button. When you shake someone's hand, it kind of shocks them, sort of. I mean, it shocks the person too. So like, everyone clearly wanted that. That was the thing to get, especially for the guys. The girls might be getting other stuff. Then there was this little like bird paper, like a clip with a bird on it, this cool looking bird, like a cartoon bird with a clip to like hold papers together. So I got called, and I went with the bird clip, and all the guys were like, what a fool, what an idiot. This is like 2nd grade. And the next guy who got it, he got the buzzer, and everyone flocked to him, and we're getting their hands shaked and buzz. And I was alone with my little bird clip, But I think, Joe, 2 things. As even a 2nd grader, I was like, I'm not going to get influenced by the crowd. I'm going to do what I want. Second, I thought the buzzer had some kind of like evil kind of, it was like a bad thing. It wasn't exactly. It wants to shock someone. And then the bird kind of was a cool looking little cartoon bird. I was like, I could use that to hold papers together.
You're a lover, not a fighter.
I was kind of a lover, not a fighter. That was kind of it. The buzzer was the clear choice, Joe. It was the obvious choice. I shocked the world going with the bird with the clip. Anyway, I think there's some As an adult, I look back on that and go, interesting, it's second grade. What was I, 99 out of 100 little boys would have gotten the buzzer. And I went with the bird clip. Anyway, that's that. By the way, tonight at 7:30 and 9:30, I'll be performing at Oz. 2 shows at Oz in the Quarter, 7:30 and 9:30 at Oz in the French Quarter. That's me tonight. I don't think that bird had a little bird clip had any influence, Joe. Tonight, Oz, 7:30, 9:30. Oh, wow. Anyway. Corey Johnson with you on a Friday. In all seriousness, guys, this is like actually kind of like something positive and informative that's worthwhile, not the last 5 minutes of the program. It's holiday season. Seriously, don't screw up and get lab-created, man-made 3-week-old diamonds. If you've decided you're going to get her a diamond purchase, like stud earrings or a tennis bracelet, a necklace, maybe even engagement ring, go with real natural diamonds. Go see Ken Friend at Friend & Company Fine Jewelers on Maple Street in between Broadway and Carrollton. They have diamond jewelry for thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. Ken Friend and Friend & Company Fine Jewelers has an entire room dedicated to real natural diamond jewelry. Everything in it under $1,000. Yeah, for a few $100, you can walk out with that great gift for her this holiday season. It's Hanukkah, guys. Christmas a few weeks away. You can get her real natural diamonds. Friend & Company Fine Jewelers on Maple Street.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes are magazine, as unique as you.
Custom window treatments can enhance the look and value of your home. At Helm Paint and Decorating, we're proud to offer custom plantation-style window shutters by Scandia. Perfect for any window, including large frames, French doors, sliding doors, and arches. American-made SL300 shutters are available in many colors to match your personal decor. We'll come out to measure, and you'll receive fast delivery. Plus, they're virtually maintenance-free.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore led us to you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, it's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof, now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anywhere. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
You're listening to The Neutral Ground with Corey Johnson.
Cotton Bowl winning coach Willie Fritz joining us on the program. Have you ever been part of a game that great?
A lot of things happen in the game. You just don't know the script. You got to adapt and improvise. You just got to keep playing hard the whole time, and our guys did an excellent job of that.
How big is yesterday for the overall future of the program?
You got to have the guys that really have a burning desire to get a quality education and also be a great football player. You got to have focus.
You've always have embraced New Orleans. You've been a great ambassador for the city, for Tulane University.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. My wife and I just love it here in New Orleans. And just everybody, the city's just sensational. It's just a dime for a person who came up to me after game. I had tickets in the old Tulane Stadium. And, I've heard that a ton of times. And then, that's good that we were able to make some people happy.
That's Willie Fritz joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Roll A.
The spirit of New Orleans. It's Corey Johnson on The Neutral Ground.
For Leidenheimer Baking Company, producing the perfect French bread is more than a vocation. It's a sacred mission. And for 5 generations, they've used the same time-honored process, baking their signature loaf with its crisp crust and delicate center, unique and still good to the last crumb. From the finest French Quarter restaurants to your local po' boy shop, for over 125 years, New Orleans' own Leidenheimer.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot.
From the owners of Katie's in Mid-City and Bienvenue in Harahan, an old school deli with over a dozen specialty sandwiches. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria. Rouse's, New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's has the only full-service grocery stores both in the French Quarter on Royal Street and in the CBD on Baronne in the old Sewell Cadillac building. The Rouse's on the river, Tchoupitoulas at Napoleon, is in a century-old warehouse. And uptown on Ferret at the corner of Valence is Rouse's all-new boutique store. With 7 locations in Orleans Parish, Rouse's is New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's Markets. Taste like home.
Trey Yen, Chinese cuisine, not Chinese food. You know, we're fortunate on the East Bank, and boy, on the West Bank, there's a lot of good Chinese food in New Orleans. You want to take it up like a notch or even 2? Trey Yen in Mandeville. I mentioned that whole speckled trout or whole flounder the other day. They debone the entire fish, head and tail intact, flash fry it to perfection. You get both fillets. Ladles of that tong cho sauce, tough to beat. Now, if you go to Trey Yen with like a table of, say, 4 or more, get the honey pecan shrimp entree as an appetizer. Big, plump, local Gulf shrimp with this honey glaze. Absolutely amazing. And hey, Joe, check this out. Catch this. There you go. Seriously. And ants. Here you go. There you go. There you go. With this honey glaze. See if you can call him back, Joe. With pecans. You get like a dozen, 15 shrimp. You just split them up with the group. Everybody gets like 2 or 3, 4 shrimp. Just fantastic. It's a great entree. But a really, really good appetizer where everybody gets a taste. I like going with a large group to Trey Yen. It could be like 6 or 8 people. Thanks, Joe. Like 6 to 8 people. You got his info? You do? Yeah, call him now. Sure. He's cool. He's game. Okay, cool. Sorry about that, folks. I'm trying to get Gary Smith on last minute from NOLA.com. He's the Times-Picayune's Tulane Green Wave beat writer. You need me to send me his info, Joe? I got it. Joe, this is called On the Fly Radio, dude. We don't mess around. Share the contact. Where's Joe Cardosi, that rat bastard?
Saved as jail.
Well, it is under J for some dumb reason. I don't know why. It isn't under C. I mean, Cardosi should be a K anyway. All right, Joe, there you go. You should have that coming your way in a second. For you folks, the last 30 seconds listening to this crappy radio as Joe and I communicate. Anyway, I'm going to get Gary Smith on in about 30 seconds. He's the Tulane Green Wave beat writer for the Times-Picayune. He knows the team as well as anyone, and he's a journalist. You know, I was reading some Glenn Guilbeau LSU stuff online and on Twitter, and a bunch of folks just dogging Guilbeau, these LSU fans, like, he's not pro LSU. Just like, I don't want someone who's pro or anti. I want someone who's a journalist that tells it like it is. I'm the fan. I don't need fans. I want journalists. I want pros. I really appreciate this. Gary Smith from the Times-Picayune Tulane beat writer joining us on super late notice. Gary, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on the show. Really big news for the Tulane football program that happened today.
Boy, wasn't it? I mean,
really good news.
I was saying you can't do too much better than this, could they?
It's a home run hire. It's the guy that was on the top of the wish list of anyone who knows what they're talking about about this team. Nothing guarantees success, but John Sumrall checks every box. He coached at Tulane for 3 years, and former players swear by him. Tulane didn't have a whole lot of success under Curtis Johnson. They did make the New Orleans Bowl in 2013, but it sure as heck wasn't because of John Sumrall. The defense was one of the best in the country the one year they made the bowl game in 2013 and was pretty darn good in 2014. Just from talking to him back then, I could tell he was a rising star. He left Tulane and he's had nothing but success. And when you can really tell a coach is good is when the teams before he's there and after he's there are worse than they were when he was there. And that's been the case for John Sumrall everywhere he's been. He was the assistant head coach at Troy for 3 years, and they won 21 games in the last 2 years he was assistant head coach. Then he left for 4 years, and they had 3 consecutive losing seasons before he went back last year, and then he won 23 games, incredibly matching Willie Fritz's record at Tulane. Tulane seems to like this symmetry. They hire an athletic director from Northern Iowa to replace an athletic director from Northern Iowa, and then they hire a coach who's gone 23-4 in the last 2 years to replace a coach who's gone 23-4 in the last 2 years.
No, and followed the Dan and sort of hire a head coach from a mid-major that's a winner.
Yep. Yeah, and again, he really does. He's got all the ingredients. He's ambitious. He's a good guy. He's energetic. He's a great recruiter. The example I give when he was at Tulane before, I don't know if people remember the name Ade Aruna, but he was a standout defensive end for Tulane. He was from Indiana, not exactly Tulane's recruiting territory. He came over from Africa, was mainly a basketball player, switched to football. Tulane got on him. Then Power 5 programs in the Big Ten got on him. And John Sumrall convinced him to come to Tulane, coached him for 2 years. And then the 2 years after he left, Ade Aruna developed into a good enough player that he was drafted in the 6th round by the Minnesota Vikings. So the guy can recruit too. I mean, there's his resume says he can do it all, and he's been at Tulane, so he knows what it takes to win at Tulane.
You know, I was really glad when this name emerged that Tulane didn't do what they did. It was about 23 years ago. Exactly. I was there the morning of. Rich Rodriguez is, yanking his tie off, all ticked off in between these trailers by the Wilson Center.
Yeah.
And literally about 45 minutes, an hour before he was to be announced as the head coach, he gets informed that it's not going to be him. And I think what the talk was, there were just some powerful boosters that are like, do we want to go through this ordeal in a year or two again? This is Tommy Bowden 2.0. Rich Rodriguez is going to come in here, win, and then we're going to have to hire another coach in a year or two. Yeah. My thinking, Gary, you want John Sumrall, Power 5 schools coming after him next year at Tulane, the year after that, the year after that.
You're 100% right, Corey. That's a loser mentality that Tulane had back then, and it killed them. Yep. You can't hire a coach who wants to be somewhere for a long time because that's not what ambitious coaches do. and it's absolutely true that Rich Rod probably would have left Tulane if he had sustained the success that Tommy Bowden had. But that's what you want because they got the alternative, and that wasn't pretty. And this time, Tulane avoided making a mistake. That was 25 years ago. Now they avoided making the exact mistake that they made, and that's huge. It was funny because there were some national reports today after I'd already reported that it was basically a done deal that Troy had made a counteroffer to these people, they thought it was going to swing. From my intel, their counteroffer was $1.4 million, which Willie Fritz was making $2.7 million this past year. And I think that's about the range that Sumrall's making. So I'm thinking $1.4 million wasn't going to go too far in swaying him to change his mind at the last minute.
Yeah, I think it was Pat Forday had written something about that.
Yeah.
From what I get, and I could be wrong, just reportedly, Summerall made about 8.25 last year at Troy. I'm sure he exceeded $1 million with bonuses and incentives by winning the Sun Belt, but his base salary was under $1 million.
Yeah, and they offered him 1.4, which that's nowhere in the ballpark of what Tulane was offered.
No, but considering what Troy is, they they almost about a 55% increase in salary. Reportedly, the buyout was $2.7 million. Do you know anything about that?
That I have not heard on any information. I did not hear that it was.
If that's true, that would be even more impressive. The high. Tulane came up with 2.7 because they wanted this guy.
They did. There was, there was some backlash with the athletic director Tulane hired. He's had David Harris. He's had no experience hiring a big time coach. I think the biggest coach he hired at Northern Iowa was the soccer coach, but he did exactly what an athletic director is supposed to do. I think there are a lot of people out there who think that the Sun Belt is a rising conference. The American Athletic Conference is no longer, it's lost a lot of its best teams. There are a lot of people nationally, and I think would be surprised that a guy would leave Troy for Tulane, and Tulane made their case to him and made it apparently very easy for an Alabama native to choose Tulane. And it's just, in every way, it's a win for Tulane. And they've backed up a great decision in hiring Willie Fritz with another great decision. And I've been around, I was born in New Orleans in 1967, and it's hard for me to remember Tulane making two great decisions in one area back to back.
No, you're right. You're right. John Summerall also, Gary, reportedly linked to the Duke job. They went with the Penn State D coordinator. And then I heard A&M and Mississippi State may have even, reached out to his agent.
Yeah, Mississippi State definitely did. I'm not sure about A&M, but the deal was A&M. Mark Stoops at Kentucky was a finalist for A&M.
If Stoops leaves Kentucky, he's going back home.
He played that Summerall would have been Kentucky's coach because he's an ex-player there and he's been an assistant there. He's beloved there, and so Tulane is getting a coach who came very close to getting a Power 5 job at Duke and could have gotten a Power 5 job at Kentucky if it had come open. That's quality stuff.
Monday, that'll be the official announcement and press conference introduction.
Monday at 11 a.m. at the Glazer Family Club.
Yep, nice. We're visiting with Gary Smith for a few minutes. He's the beat writer for the Times-Picayune, for Tulane, I should say. He writes for the Times-Picayune. His beat is Tulane football, Tulane athletics. Gary, there was talk of Fritz was maybe closer to staying than most people believed, and maybe the AD choice coupled with this bubble and the Wilson Center expansions, maybe not shovels in the ground. Fritz even made a comment in Houston about, I've been some places where they talked about building facilities and nothing got done. Here at Houston, we got a $20 million indoor facility and the shovels are broken on this $140 million football complex.
Yeah, I'd say it was a three-pronged decision for Fritz. I'm not sure how close it was. He did think he could continue winning at Tulane. He was happy at Tulane, but you mentioned the facilities were an issue for him. He just didn't feel like enough progress had been made from the moment Tulane beat USC in the Cotton Bowl to the end of November.
That's a good point.
His family, his daughter lives in Houston. His wife has a ton of friends in Houston. Fritz, he sold New Orleans really well when he was Tulane coach, but he lived at English Turn. I think he's more of a Texas guy, a Houston guy than he was a New Orleans guy in the first place. So I think the combination of the lifestyle and being worried about the facilities and money's always a factor too. Tulane gave Fritz a massive contract offer, but it still isn't what he's going to be paid at Houston. So I think all those things together, I'm not sure how difficult a decision it was for him or not, actually.
I would imagine John Summerall, Tulane put the bubble out there. Hey, we're going to break ground. Yeah. I hear it's going to be at the end of next semester, and they'll have it ready for next football season. And then, hey, on this date, we'll break ground on this Wilson Center, which a lot of that is Title IX, but in essence, it's really a football operations center, I would say, with Title IX compliance for these minor sports. Is that accurate?
I think that's accurate. And I guarantee you that was more of his discussion with Tulane than what his actual salary was going to be. He just wanted to have assurance that they were going to make the progress that needed to be in those areas. And clearly, again, because Troy wasn't a bad situation for him. He just won 2 consecutive conference championships there. It's not like he was hurting his chances of getting a Power 5 job by staying at Troy. Clearly, in his talks with David Harris and Tulane's administration, he believes that progress is going to be made, and it's going to be made rapidly in those areas.
Yeah. Have you heard anything? I'm hearing like a $3 to $5 million bubble. I'm hearing that Wilson expansion's like 40 to 60 mil.
I've heard similar things. I'm kind of with. I'm a little worried about the bubble and where they're planning on putting it, because I'm not sure it's big enough. And clearly, Tulane's strength and conditioning coordinator Kurt Hester was going off on that. Soon to be probably Houston's strength and conditioning coordinator Kurt Hester was going off on that last night, saying that it simply wasn't big enough and it was going to be useless. They've got to.
Where was he going off?
I'd love to hear what the talks were on that, because he was saying, because they had told Fritz's staff it was going to be an 80-yard field.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yep.
Yeah, and Kurt Hester just doesn't think that's big enough to be functional, and so we'll see what happens. It becomes an issue with land and what's available on campus and stuff like that. I'll be interested to see how all.
I don't know where else you can do it unless academics turns over the old Rosen dorm site back to athletics. Right. So you could do it right on Claiborne Avenue. But
yeah, that's a possibility.
But now, where did the strength coach go off? Where was this? Where he
on Twitter? He actually somebody. It was based on your tweet.
Wow!
last night about the progress that was being made on the bubble. He responded that 80 yards was 60 yards too small to be a functional facility, and then had several other, some of which I think he may have taken down later, but some of them are still up there.
Wow!
He was basically just saying that Tulane isn't committed to winning. And so if you're saying that, you're probably not.
You're out the door. You're already the Houston strength coach.
Yeah.
Hey, Gary, we can catch all your stuff on NOLA.com right now, right?
Just finished my story, my write through from earlier today when I broke the news in the first place about John Sumrall. Got quotes. One of his former players at Tulane, Sam Schofield, had a glowing review of how great a coach he was and how he knew he was going to be a great coach down the road, stuff like that. You can get the full story at NOLA.com right
Gary
now.
Smith, thank you so much for the time. New Orleans, have a great weekend.
You're on the neutral ground with Corey Johnson on TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube, on radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
Hi, it's Ken Friend from Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business. Come see us over on Maple Street in Uptown.
Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, Breitling time, 6 p.m.